Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Layers of Truth, True Crime Collective. We are here again to discuss an exciting case. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Holly Jones. She was a beautiful little 10-year-old girl who disappeared on May the 12th, 2003. She vanished after walking her friend home just a short distance from her house in Toronto, Canada, never to be seen again. So we're going to be getting into that tonight and hope you will enjoy it or at least get something out of it. Here is her picture. She was a beautiful little girl and she was 10 years old. She was born on September 14th, 1992 to Maria Jones and George Stonehouse. She grew up with three siblings, Shauna, Natasha, and James. Holly was a lively, gentle, and energetic girl with a big imagination and dreams of becoming a famous singer. Fueled by her love for music, she excelled academically and athletically, attending St. Luigi Catholic Elementary School in Toronto's Junction Triangle neighborhood. Holly was well liked by her peers, participating in basketball and cross country. Do either of you want to add anything to that?
Well, this is actually a hometown case, and I was only 2 at the time, turning 3, so I don't actually remember like hearing about it when it happened. But my 3 older siblings, who are all around a decade or older than me, actually Holly, like the youngest of the 3 is actually Holly's age. So yeah, all of them remember it vividly. And at the time we lived like we all still live in Toronto to this day, but at the time we lived closer to the area where she was abducted, and it just sent shockwaves throughout the entire city, and it still sticks with my older siblings today. So I came across the case. I mentioned on a previous episode that my introduction to true crime was around 2010, and so around like maybe a few years after that, I came upon a video about Holly Jones on YouTube, and because it was a Toronto case, it just stood out to me right away. And when I learned about it, I was just it just stuck with me, and like I was thinking, how have I not heard of this before? Because I was alive at this time. But then then I realized, yeah, I was very young at the time, and it makes sense. So then I just went to go ask my older siblings, and they explained how scared they were to be outside, and like they have children of their own now, and to this day they make sure that their children are safe. Like they go to extra measures to make sure their children are safe because of what this tragic crime did to them, because of how much it affected them growing up.
Yeah, I'm sure it affected everybody in the community.
It affected everybody in the city for sure. Like obviously I was like a toddler at the time, so I don't remember. But like everyone who was like of age to know what was happening, to like be aware of what was happening, it affected like the entire city. And I know that at Holly's funeral, they like people from all over the city, and like this includes like politicians and police officers, they all came to pay their respects. And this was this was very mainstream, and it not just shook up the community, but it shook up the whole city of Toronto.
Yeah, I'm sure. And her siblings, they were devastated, as well as her parents. And I'm sure I know that Holly's mother is still not looking, but she's still doing things to keep Holly's name out there. And she's always very grateful to hear
keep her remembered. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It's
understandable.
a shame what happened to her. I don't know. It's not from my hometown, but I still feel for her and her family.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's very, very sad. And this kind of thing happens, way too often. I don't know
every
how
day.
regular it is in Canada, but here in the United States, and I'm sure.
Yeah, it's
Gabby,
really bad.
yeah, it is.
Amber alerts.
Go ahead.
Like Amber alerts are quite often.
Oh yeah. Like there are Amber Alert notifications being sent to our phones. Maybe like at this point, like I'm thinking, because like the thing is, I obviously live in Canada, while the two of you are in the United States. But like here, we get Amber Alerts like maybe at least once a month. Like sometimes I'll be awake, so other times I'll be sleeping, woken up by the alarm, and like no problem with that, because like this is very serious stuff, and like everybody needs to be notified. But yeah, like the point is that these things are just happening way too often, and like it's just mind-blowing to think about, like to think that stuff like this is happening more often than we think. Like this specific crime that we're talking about, this was a horrific tragedy, and the fact that the perpetrator, Michael Briere, like the fact that he will be eligible for parole in 4 years from now is, or less than 4 years actually, because it's the end of 2024. But yeah, like the fact that he will be eligible for parole in 2028 is just insane. Like he should have at the very least been given life sentence without parole. And honestly, Gabriella and I, we were talking earlier, and we both honestly think he should have been put to death for all the things he did. So, for example, like he didn't just he didn't just murder her. Like he kidnapped her, he sexually assaulted her, he murdered her, and then dismembered her. That's like 4 horrible things right off the bat. So we do think that
And has protective custody.
Yeah, and that too. Yeah, exactly. Like we do think, because of the horrific things he's done, not just the horrific thing he did a bunch of horrific things. So because of all the horrific things he did, we think that he honestly should have been put to death. But unfortunately, Canada does not have the death penalty, and it's just notorious. Like my country is notorious for being more lenient on criminals, and like the justice system, it favors criminals more than the actual victims, which is just insane. Like him, like Gabriella was saying, he's literally in protective custody, and he's been in protective custody since he's been arrested. Like this guy should not, like he deserves to at the very least suffer more than he's been suffering already. And like this was just not a good human being by any means. Like for example, when he got caught, when Michael Briere got caught, he was literally saying, if Holly was, like, quote unquote, if Holly was not in the wrong place at the wrong time, then this wouldn't have happened. And it's just like, if you were not a pedophile, then this would not have happened. Like, if you were not watching child pornography, this would not have happened. Like he is clearly just a horrible person with no morals, no empathy, and he is like he's just horrible overall. Like and the thing with Michael Briere is he's tried making himself seem as like as much of a victim as possible, and like I remember that when he was originally caught, he just waived his rights to a trial to quote unquote spare the family of any more like grief. And honestly, like that's just like it just seemed like a ploy to try and gain sympathy from some people, and to make himself look better in the eyes of the court. Because like at that point, like the evidence and all this stuff, it was already overwhelming against him. Like he was going to get put behind bars anyway. So this was just a ploy to make himself look better. And he's just like the fact that he almost got away with this too. Like as messed up in the head as he was, this was not a stupid individual. He knew what he was doing, and there's no excuse at all for someone like this. He should definitely be suffering more than he is right now. And yeah, Gabriella and I both think that he like this is one time I actually wish Canada had the death penalty. Like, this is one case where I wish an exception would be made, because like this was just so messed up, and like there's the evidence against him is just overwhelming. Like he did it for a fact. Like there's zero doubt at this point. Like the thing with me is I am.
Let me interrupt you just a second.
Yeah, the thing is, no problem.
Yeah, we're getting way ahead. Let's just talk about the disappearance for just a second. She vanished without nobody knew what was happening, of course. And her mother, Maria, came on TV the next day and pleaded, "Holly, honey, our hearts are out for you. Baby, if you can hear me, you know how much we love you. I beg you, whoever has her, bring her home to us. She hasn't ever hurt anyone in her life. She is a happy girl. I beg you not to hurt her." Now, at this time, nobody knew what had happened. All they knew was she was missing. And, devastated. The family was devastated, of course, not knowing what had happened, fearing the worst, but hoping, that something would turn up and Holly would turn up. And that had been a very difficult time for the family and everybody in the city. It had to be. So this was before anybody knew anything about Michael. And, all the time we hear of families going through this. And my heart goes out to them, because I can't imagine how devastating that would be. I mean, I'm not a parent, but I know good and well if I had kids and somebody took one or something happened to one, I would be, I would be miserable. I'd be a wreck. And I think anybody would. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, definitely. It would take a piece away from me if that happened to one of my family members.
Yeah, for sure.
That you can't get back.
Yeah. And then the next day they found 2 gym bags near Lake Ontario containing the dismembered human remains, later identified as Holly's. Investigators determined she had been sexually assaulted, strangled with a ligature, which is a rope, and dismembered. And tragically, Holly had been killed less than an hour after her abduction. Now, this guy was a real sicko. Think about that. He grabs a 10-year-old girl, rapes her, strangles her, cuts her up in pieces. I mean, that's a real sick dude, That is a real sick dude. And all this happened within an hour after he took her. So the guy had to be in a rage, some kind of a psychotic rage. And, when Maria, the mother of Holly, was begging for her live on TV, unbeknownst to her, all this had already happened. All this had already happened. And it's really sad.
Yeah, and to add on to what you were saying, so he was he was close to being blackout drunk that day. Like, he consumed a lot of alcohol and he was watching child pornography, and so he made up the idea in his mind to act on the urges that he had. And he didn't originally target Holly specifically. He just saw her outside, and like I mentioned earlier, this was like his way of like saying, this person was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And so he just took the first person he saw. And the thing is, Holly she was so terrified, she did not make a single sound. He was saying that like he was explaining to investigators that like when he abducted her and brought her inside his house, like she did not make a sound at all. So and he was explaining that and we don't know if this is true, but like this is what he was saying. He was saying that had she screamed, he would have let her go. And this just seems like another way of shaming the victim and trying to make himself seem like less of a scumbag. But like this is just something that that stuck out to me when I read about it.
Yeah, there's nothing he could have done to make himself look good, you know?
Yeah. He was literally just trying to make himself like look as less of like with some of the things he said. Like it seemed like he like okay. So there's obviously no turning back from what he did, but he was trying to humanize himself in like the tiniest ways possible. I guess like whether it would be to look as less of a monster as possible in front of the press, or like whether he was just trying to make himself look better in front of the eyes of the court and the judge, and maybe get like a reduced sentence. Like who knows? But yeah, like this is just things that, like these are just things that he said that stood out to me, and like just the audacity of this monster. Like I don't even know what else to like say about this monster. Like I don't.
Yeah. Let's focus on the hunt for the killer here for a moment. The Toronto Police Service launched an intensive investigation, mobilizing officers citywide and urging community involvement. DNA evidence found on Holly's remains became the critical lead, prompting police to request voluntary DNA samples from all men within a 6-block radius of Holly's home. The community was gripped with fear and determination. Natasha Robinson, a neighborhood resident, recalled, "I remember the panic and fear at the time. We were all really scared." And I'm sure they were. Who wouldn't be? Especially anybody with kids. They would be terrified. So that's understandable. And then they got a breakthrough in the case. Michael Briere became a prime suspect when 2 officers observed telling signs during a visit to his apartment. First of all, he refused to provide DNA sample. There was green carpet fibers matched those found on Holly's remains, and they were weights found like those used to weigh down Holly's remains were spotted in his home. And there was a strong bleach smell emanated from the apartment, suggesting a hasty cleanup attempt. So his refusal to cooperate is what led police to surveil him. And finally, investigators obtained a discarded soda can from him, which provided the DNA match that they needed. So he kind of told on himself when he refused to do a DNA sample, like everybody else was doing.
Yeah, he was not the only one to refuse DNA, but just like right off the bat, him refusing to give DNA, that definitely would have stood out to investigators. And furthermore, there were other things that the investigation team were telling their subordinates to look for. And for example, so there were green fibers found on Holly's remains, and so like the green carpet in Michael Briere's apartment stood out to them as well. And then obviously because of the horrific extent to which Holly was brutalized, it would have been obviously very messy. So they also pointed out that that the killer would have wanted to bleach, it would have wanted to use bleach to try and get rid of any evidence. And the thing is, bleach, it does not really get rid of things as well as people would think. And they noticed like right away when they got to Michael's apartment that like it was just over bleached, clearly something was wrong, and that stood out to them as well. and there was, I believe, one more.
Something terrible probably happened in there that we.
Oh, no kidding. Like literally within an hour, she was dead within an hour of him seeing her. Like,
Oh my God.
yeah. It's just like I'm like, while I have a lot to say about this topic, at the same time, it's just so sickening that I'm at the same time, I'm just at a loss for words.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to fathom somebody can be as cruel as him, as sadistic as he was, and as sick as he was to want to do those things. And that was his fantasy he wanted to carry out. Sad, huh?
Yep.
And there's the really sad part is knowing there are other people out there like that. That
No
is
kidding.
the sad part. And Steve Ryan, the lead investigator, described the breakthrough as bittersweet. He said it was euphoric and heartbreaking. You've got somebody now and it becomes real. This actually happened. And Holly's tragic death left a lasting impact on the Toronto community, highlighting the resilience of a city that united in grief and determination to bring justice to an innocent girl whose life was cut far too short. You know, this case reminds me a little bit of the Melanie Cartier case.
Yeah, Melanie Etier, the case we covered, the case we were talking about last week. It does in a sense, but the thing is, we actually don't know what happened to Melanie yet, but there is we have a very good idea of what happened to her. And yeah, in that case, it does actually, it is actually quite reminiscent of the Melanie Etier case in that sense, because not to mention that these are both Ontario, Canada cases too. So, and they were within 7 years of each other. So yeah, that also stands out. These are two of Canada's biggest, most known crime cases out there for sure. I can only think of two other cases that are of comparable or equal or more notoriety level than like Holly Jones and Melanie Etier. Yeah.
How old was Holly again?
10 years old.
10.
She had big dreams. She was going to be a singer. Just like Melanie Cutchay, she had big dreams. She wanted to be a ballerina.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine how somebody can have that kind of a fantasy to want to do things like that to anybody, especially an innocent child. I mean, to me, that's not a human. That's some kind of a monster.
So yeah.
I don't know much about Michael. Was he married at the time?
No, he was not. I told you that, I told you previously that he was working a job. Like he had a good job. Like he was working as a software engineer, and it was a good paying job. So he clearly the fact that you would think that someone like this would have just been like a crazy homeless person on the streets, but this is someone who had somewhat of a life, at least before this tragedy. But outside of his job, he was just like a messed up human being to the core. And he was I read that he was not only he was already into child pornography for probably since becoming an adult, and he was 35 by then. So yeah, almost 2 decades he would have been watching this stuff over and over. He was just a very sick, twisted person, and he clearly did not have any clearly this was not someone who people necessarily liked like even before all this stuff happened, like he clearly was not someone who was very very well liked. Like he didn't
So
have
he had no kids,
yeah,
right?
yeah, no
kids,
family,
okay.
no family, yeah, no family, yeah.
Okay.
It's good that he didn't have kids. Look what he
Yeah.
done.
No kidding, yeah.
Yeah, if he had had a daughter, for example, and done, the kind of things he done to her, my goodness.
Yikes. And there have been cases like that, by the way, but yeah.
Yes, I know. And the sad part is there's a lot of kids going through these kind of things now. The sex trafficking, the human trafficking and all of that. Kids are being bought and sold and treated as sex slaves and kinds of sick crap like that.
Yeah.
So when the mother was alive on television pleading for her daughter's safety and not to harm her and all that, do you think this guy possibly saw it?
He had already done it. He might have saw
I know
it.
he did that, but like, do you think he actually like watched it?
I'm sure he did, because if you commit something like that, you'll want to be following the case to get the latest updates on it, just to make sure that the cops are not on your trail, and that if they are, if they are on your trail, then to see if you are able to do anything to either throw them off or to just like get out of the area you commit the crime in. Like there are people who have done this in so many different cases, but yeah.
So why would he like not go through with trial, but like not come forward when his mom, like, to just because he wanted to save them of it mentioned not going through with trial to spare the family or something?
Yeah, well, he didn't actually.
Why that? But not come forward. It's for the public image. It's a
yeah.
This is a lion in a cage right now, waiting to be released, in my opinion.
No, it's not even an opinion. It's just a fact. Like this is clearly like I was mentioning earlier in this podcast episode. Like he was like, okay.
I wish there was a way we could find out if he has been like good in prison this whole time, like good behavior. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do too. But yeah, like as I was mentioning earlier on, he, like, as sick in the mind as he was, this was not a stupid individual. Like he almost got away with his crime. If those bags did not wash up on Toronto Harbour, then he would have got away with his crime. So like clearly this was someone who was very like, even though he acted on a spur of the moment, this was someone who at the same time was a very meticulous planner, and he like nothing he says that can appear even slightly positive can be taken seriously, because this is just someone who was not a good human being at all. And this is like obviously there is no coming back from something like this. People like this will never be forgiven by society. So obviously, knowing that, he probably would want to make himself look as less of a monster as possible. Yeah, look as less of a monster as possible, to look like less of a monster as possible, but also I'm sure he was also just trying to look good in front of the court and the judge and the crown and all that stuff. And
for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
he wasn't at all remorseful.
Yep.
He's probably now even in prison, can't wait to get out to do it again.
Me and Gabriella were literally talking about that very we were literally talking about that earlier. Like we agreed that he like Gabriella was saying, like, this is a lion in a cage. When he gets out, he's probably going to do this again. I know that he was 35 when he got arrested, so he would be around 60 by the time he is eligible for parole. And I'm assuming and hoping that he does not get let out, because even if, okay, let's say that hypothetically,
he's not life, right, with the possibility of parole.
Yeah. So I do think it's more likely that he stays locked up, even though he never should have been eligible for parole.
Yeah, I don't think he'll let him out. You know, he's a monster. They won't let him out.
Yeah. But even the fact that he was eligible for parole, it just shows you Canada's too lenient on people like this. So in the chance that he were to hypothetically get out, and even in the chance that he hypothetically changed as a person, he doesn't deserve freedom at all for what he did. Like, even if he truly feels remorse for what he did, and he would never do something like this again, he does not deserve any freedom. Like Gabriella and I were both saying, he deserves to be put to death, like an eye for an eye, when it comes to something as extreme as this. But like, at the very least, at least keep him behind bars for life, especially since he's not being in general population. He's in solitary confinement. So yeah, he's being protected. But yeah, he deserves to at least.
He wouldn't last a day in general population.
That's true. Yeah. Like
prisoners look down on as people who harm children.
100%.
Especially over here.
Yeah, they would kill them definitely.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Even over here, Steve, in U.S., the protective custody doesn't fully protect them.
It's sad that they protect them. You know, it really is.
Yeah. It goes to show you Canada's just so messed up in a lot of ways.
Well, it ain't just Canada.
What is it? Do you guys have? It's like a president, right? That runs the whole.
What we call it. So, like, our version of the president in Canada, we call him prime minister. But like, it's not just up to the.
That's right. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not just up to the prime minister though. Like, there are I know that it's been like the laws have been how they've been for like at least decades at this point. I don't think Canada's ever had a history with being as harsh on criminals as they should have, like as they should be. To be honest, I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, I think all violent offenders should stay in prison. And as far as the non-violent prisoners, they should put them on house arrest so the prisons won't be so crowded. And those that are on house arrest, they would have to work for a living and the taxpayers wouldn't have to support them.
Yeah.
That just makes perfect sense to me. But I don't have a say-so in that, so there you go.
Yeah.
Let me show this video that I have here. It's about remembering Holly. So you can see this, right? No, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. No, you can't. Hold on here just a second.
I keep seeing something. Give me a thumbs up. Oh, all right. Never mind.
What she looked like in her face when she left. I remember her favorite outfits. I remember what she liked to eat. I remember everything about Holly, and I'm very happy about that because I do have a fear of forgetting. I don't want to forget. To start with Holly's tragedy, what she suffered. She was taken, strangled, she was raped, she was murdered. This is something that you can't, it's too difficult to grasp, to think about. I do know that you asked the question, how it impacted us. We basically just went crazy, all of us. But we did get back together because we knew there was at one point, I don't know when, within all these, in the last 10 years, that we really do need to be with each other, to grieve properly, to grieve so that it isn't as painful by being with each other as a family. We need each other. I feel really blessed for that. I really do feel blessed for having some pain relieved by being together as a family, because I have heard of other tragedies where families have separated, and I really couldn't imagine dealing with this tragedy without my family. I need my family, and I believe they need me too. The community has helped me get through this, actually, in a great way, in a great deal, because I don't know how to explain it, but it helps me to know that others are out there caring for Holly. It's not just us loving Holly. I feel like I need to know that everybody loves Holly. I don't know what it is, but I just need that. And this is what the community gave me. They gave me that feeling of caring and for Holly and loving her. Most important, I don't want Holly forgotten. I don't want her to be nothing. She's very, very special to me, of course, because she's my daughter, but because she's gone, I want her to be special to everyone. You know, and I think of her as an angel, but I don't want her to be just my angel. I want her to be everybody's angel. That's how I feel. So, you know, when I go to the grocery store and somebody approaches me once in a while and says, "You're Holly's mother. I just want you to know I think about you." People are afraid to say that to me, but they don't realize that I walk away saying, "Thank you. Thank you for thinking of my daughter." And people come out from the community, drop off things for Holly, remembering May 12th, which is the tragedy, remembering her birthday, September 14th. All this helps me. Sometimes we don't have to speak to people, or we don't have to have contact with somebody, but they get a card dropped off or something, or a plant, and it just makes me feel good to know that Holly is not being forgotten. I don't want Holly forgotten, ever.
Steve, what year was this video posted?
What year was it posted?
Yeah, what year was that posted? I'm just curious.
I think it was 10 years after her death.
Okay.
But you can see the mother really loved her tremendously, can't you?
Very strong woman she is. Like, I can't imagine going through something like that. I can't. I just can't.
Yeah. And she just wants everybody to remember Holly. So hopefully we've done something to help with that.
Yeah. I'm sure that especially because this is a hometown case, I'm sure this will certainly interest some people from my town. Like, I'm definitely going to try and get this more out there, because the thing is, like, there are people who don't really find the genre of true crime intriguing, but like, I think when it comes to something like this, because it's a hometown case especially, they'll be more they'll be more likely to be affected by this than by just like other crime cases that are not local. So yeah, I'm sure that and like also to places outside of Toronto, Canada, obviously, like to like people who are intrigued by true crime in other parts of Canada and just other parts of the world. I'm sure this will also be of I'm sure this will also stick out to them. So yeah, I will definitely do my best to get this to as many different places and as
post
many
it in local groups.
for sure. Yeah, that's the plan. To like, there's no group on the there's no actual group on the Holly Jones case, but like I'll definitely
Just any
be
local
looking
group,
to
just put
post
it
this.
in. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, that's the plan. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, by all means, share it far and wide, and I'll do the same thing. And I'll try not to accidentally delete it.
Yeah, like and even with that, like the Melanie Ethier episode we did, it was good, but we did not actually cover everything that we could have, and also I do think that in the future it could be possible that we could get someone with a little bit more of a personal connection and insider knowledge to come on and talk about that. So yeah, we'll worry about doing another episode on that in the future. But this week where we did the Holly Jones story, this is something that I felt definitely needed more attention, even though it is a solved case and even though it was 21 years ago. I still think this story needs more attention. Like you saw Holly's mom in the video, she wants her daughter to be remembered at all costs, and by as many people as possible, and I'm like my goal is to make that happen. So that's the reason why I wanted to have this particular topic talked about on today's episode.
Yeah, I'm glad we got a chance to do this. So yeah, I'm glad you recommended this one. And yeah, we would definitely do another one on Melanie. See, the one we had planned next week. Now, tell me again what that one's about.
So this is a case where, and so I've mentioned to you that I've been looking into true crime cases since around 2010. I've been intrigued by just like mysteries in general since around that time. But of all of the cases that I have come across in like around 14 years, none. And like this is with all with all due respect to everyone who suffered in all the cases that I've come across, like no case has intrigued me more, and I've never looked into a single case more than I have into this particular case. And this is not a local case. This case is actually closer to Gabriella and possibly you, Steve, than it is to me. This is in the United States. It's a case that takes place in the Cleveland suburb of Garfield, in the Cleveland suburb of Garfield Heights, Ohio. And this actually happened all the way back in 1964. And the 60th anniversary of this will take place on December 28th, and we will be doing an episode on the 27th because that is on Friday. So just a day short of the 60th anniversary, we'll be looking at the case of Beverly Jaros. She was a 16-year-old girl who was brutally strangled and stabbed 42 times in her house, in her attic bedroom.
Did you say 42 times?
42 times. And so I'm not sure if you've heard of the Cleveland torso murders, but the coroner, aka the medical examiner, he's someone who served in World War II and the Cleveland torso murders, which was like a series of dismemberments, and he called the Beverly Jaros crime scene the most horrifying scene he's ever witnessed in his life. So like this is someone with a ton of experience and who's seen a ton of horrible things, and he called this the most horrific experience he's seen in his life. And I don't want to get into too much about it on this week's episode because this week it's about Holly, but I'm looking very forward to speaking about the Beverly Jaros case on next week's episode. And there's just so many things that I've uncovered about the case. I'm just very excited to speak about it, and I know that there will be a lot of people. I know for a fact there will be a lot of people interested to hear that episode because, as I said, I've I've looked into this case extensively, and to people who have an actual personal connection to this case, because of the work I've put into this, a lot of them have just like a lot of them have recognized me over the years as someone who has done a lot to look into this case and someone who has a great interest, and they definitely be tuning in to listen to this episode. I'll make sure to share that one around, and I'll make sure to share this one around as well. And I know that the one we do next week for sure will definitely get some sort of traction. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, and next week, since it's my birthday, you two get to sing happy birthday to me.
No problem.
No problem.
Okay. Okay, and after the 27th, we will, I don't know, maybe Gabby has a special case she wants to talk about. Do you have
Yeah,
one?
I do.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
You want to tell us about it?
Yeah, it's actually it's from way back a few years ago, but it's still ongoing. It's a doctor that did malpractice. It's really bad. I don't even like to really talk about it because it's disgusting. But I can send you an article that and you'll like kind of get an idea about it, and then yeah.
This week it is about Holly Jones though, so we can focus on the Beverly Gerald's case and the thing about the doctor for the next two episodes, or like for in the case of the doctor, at least we can definitely look at that for a future episode for sure. But if we're done talking about Holly Jones, I guess is there anything that either of you two would like to add?
Well, I just want to say that, we all need to remember that there are monsters like this Michael Briere out there. And anybody that has kids, they need to really watch their kids closely, because these kind of things do happen. Unfortunately, I hate it. I hate that it happens, but it does. And it happens, I suppose, in every country. I don't know. Definitely happens a lot in the United States. And, I don't see any signs of it letting up. So by all means, folks, if you got kids, watch your kids. There are monsters out there, and they are human, or at least they look like it. They don't act like it. Anyway, that's my closing argument on it, I suppose.
Gabriella, do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, this guy, I really am curious about how he's been behaving in prison. I don't know if there's a way we can find out, but I don't think if he is released for parole, he needs to be watched for real.
Yeah, like we were talking about this earlier, there's no way that if he actually manages to get released, which is very unlikely, but in the chance that he does, there's no way that he will not need to register as a sex offender for the rest of his life. He will be watched very closely for the rest of his life. Like there's no way that he will be able to walk away from this crime forever. Especially like if he does get released, it's going to make a lot of headlines, and like it's just not going to be easy for, like, either way it won't be easy for him. But yeah, chances are he's not getting released. And yeah, like what both of you just said, Steve and Gabriella, like I completely agree with you both. And like I've already said all that I've wanted to say about this monster and about this case earlier on. So yeah, like honestly, the less said about this monster at this point, the better. And I guess I'll leave it at that. So yeah, that's pretty much my closing statement.
I definitely won't forget about her after this episode.
That's good. I'm glad that. So I'm glad I suggested this episode, because I didn't want this case to stick with both of you as well. And I'm sure, like I will see if I can somehow find Holly's mom's contact or the contact of someone in their family and let them know that we did this episode. They would greatly appreciate it for sure.
Yeah, by all means do that, my foos. That would be great. That would be great.
Yeah, no problem, Steve.
Because she wants Holly to be remembered, and that would really,
Yeah,
and it would be something she could share if she wants to.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Now, do you know what prison Michael is in?
I do not know. I do not.
Okay. I'm sure that wouldn't be hard to find out.
Yeah. Like honestly, yeah. Like I could definitely find that out. I'm sure I could find that out relatively quickly. It wouldn't be. It wouldn't be like super hard. Yeah, I'm sure I could find that out.
Maybe you could send him a "Don't Get Well" card.
Okay, like okay, that was funny, but the nature of this crime is definitely like it's serious, and yeah, like if he gets let out, he's definitely going to be getting some help from people. Let's just put it at that.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. Yeah. Not saying it'll be me, but yeah, yeah. He definitely isn't getting any sympathy from me. That's for sure.
Well, he definitely won't get any from me.
Yeah, same here.
I don't think he'll be getting any for anyone.
Yeah, he better not. Only another monster would give this monster sympathy.
Yeah, that's true. You were speaking earlier about the death penalty. I don't believe in the death penalty. I hope that never. I wish we didn't have it here. But to me, for someone to be suffering in prison for 20, 30, 40 years is worse than a death penalty.
Yeah. Honestly, okay, that actually is a very good point because, like, like Gabrielle and I were talking earlier, like the biggest problem we have is just that he has been protected in prison. Like, if like at the very least, he shouldn't be given more rights than other prisoners who have done lesser things.
Yeah, like what is there about him to protect? You know what I mean? He's nothing special.
It's because he did something so horrific. Like, it's because he did something worse than the others, which is why he's being protected. It's just so backwards and so mind-boggling to think about. But honestly, Steve, what you were saying though, like he like you do like the thing is, I was saying earlier on this podcast episode, like he or no, sorry, I was saying that, like, when it comes to the death penalty, I am like 50-50 on it, because like the thing is, there have been crime cases in the past. I'm not talking about Canada specifically, but there have just been crime cases from the past where someone who did not commit the crime ended up being executed. So like in that sense, I kind of am glad for the most part that Canada does not have the death penalty, but when it comes to cases like this, I do feel like an eye for an eye is not the worst idea. But again, like you said, like being behind bars is not fun. Like it's not pleasant at all. And like suffering for 20, 30, 40 years, like for suffering for like multiple decades, like it's definitely not. It's definitely going to make you suffer. Like you're gonna rot in prison, and that is just as bad, arguably worse than as being given the death penalty. So yeah, like honestly, like even like the thing is, Gabriella and I, like, we are obviously not as we're not as like wise as you are. Like we're still like pretty young, so I guess we have more like we have a bit more extreme viewpoints on this, but honestly, I do see what you're saying, and I'd be fine with him just rotting in prison for the rest of his life. Like, as long as he doesn't get out on parole, then like that's all. Like that's all that matters. That's all that matters to me at this point. Yeah, honestly, that's all that matters. Like him not getting out on parole, him having to suffer for the rest of his life behind bars, and
Steve, the case I was telling you about. I have no right saying this, but the case that I was telling you about the doctor might honestly change your mind, your viewpoint on the death penalty.
I don't think it would, Gabriella, because like the thing is,
What he did is
it's just I don't want to say it. Like,
N-
you need to look into it to
But-
understand what the intensity is.
so
Yeah,
so
I'll
so
get
the
that too. Send me
yeah
the link of that, Gabby, or somehow, and
If I
yeah.
send it to him, will you send it?
Yeah,
Marcos?
I will, but I will also say this. So, like the thing is, like you and I, we're both
We don't even have to.
we're both still like relatively young, and our brains are not like fully developed. And also, furthermore, Steve has like lived way longer than us. He's been through more in life, and so he has a more a rational way of thinking. And plus, like, he is a devout Christian, and Christians do not believe in the death penalty. So that is also something of note.
I'm sorry.
That is like something to note as well. So like so like I highly doubt that this specific case will change his mind, because like even like there are worse cases than Michael Briere and the case you're talking about, and like because of the fact that because of the fact that like he's a devout Christian and like a minister and all this stuff, I don't think like I don't see his mind being changed, like and that's the thing, like I totally understand.
I didn't mean be changed, like maybe like of different viewpoint. Like, I didn't mean it like that. I'm sorry, Steve.
no, you didn't do anything wrong. You don't need to
Okay.
apologize. But yeah, I mean, the reason I'm against the death penalty, yeah, I don't think we have a right to take a human life. And I do believe that they suffer more in prison, and I don't want to let them off the hook that easy. And if by some chance that the parole board does give him parole, I think the last 24 hours that he's there, he should be in general population, and that'll take care of it. So there you go. That makes sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. No, like I honestly, like, now that I'm thinking about it, like like having listened to what you have to say on it, I'm honestly more geared towards what you're saying now than I am towards him getting the death penalty. Like, because the thing is, like, so sometimes you just when you hear something like this, you just get really, especially when you're at like at a younger age where you're not thinking as rationally as you should be. Your emotions are just they're just more like your emotions are just more riled up. But yeah, looking at it objectively,
explain that part. I remember.
yeah, looking at it objectively, your viewpoint on this is probably the right way to look at this, in all honesty. Like, he's going to be suffering more in prison anyway, so yeah, just let him stay behind bars for the rest of his life. And if he gets out, he will be definitely suffering in some way, shape, or form. I know that.
Well, okay, I think we have covered this case, and I'm glad that we did. I'm glad we had this discussion. Glad you both joined in tonight, and we will wrap this case up, and you two hang on after we go off the air.
For sure.
Discuss other things. So I want to thank everybody for watching this video. Thanks for joining in to Layers of Truth, True Crime Collective. We are here every Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So until then, we say goodbye. Have a great weekend, and have a great Christmas and all that good stuff. And take care of yourselves, take care of your kids, and take care of each other. Good night, my foos. Good night, Gabby.
Good night.
Good night.